Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind.
This is our kingdom, a kingdom of righteousness. Praise the Lord. Praise ye the Lord.
For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. To the kingdom of Israel!
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh.
The election, an aristocracy, meaning rule of the best, a group or class considered superior to others, a government by the best men in the state, a governing body composed of the best men in the state, and that's the elect. We're about to have it all right? Psalms 37 and verse 11, and it reads, "But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace." That word for peace in the Hebrew is shalom, which goes into safety, soundness in body, meaning we're going to truly have rest, welfare, health, prosperity, peace, quiet, tranquility, contentment. So we're going to fully enjoy the planet Earth. We're going to rule and exist within the Lord's creation as we were created to do. I'm ready to rule the world, man. How about you?
Let the golden light of this sunset.
How about Shemel Shah? Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakapadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his young brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing this word of truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakapadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the whole lake out there pushing this word and truth. And this sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, pushing to get up out of the Shalom. So the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, so going into another edition of Morning News and Prophecy, and this what we're seeing is a rage against AI. Okay, people, in the work in the workforce, all right, people in colleges, are beginning, to have this rage, against AI. Okay, I think he had this rock band, we used to be called Rage Against the Machine. Okay, but he has to move fast, because the longer he takes, the more, all right, backlash, is going to increase against what he's trying to do, because this devil is really going to have to bring, these crises. He's really going to have to go forward with these crises, man. He's going to have to cause some type of, energy shortage. He's going to have to cause, food shortages. He's going to have to cause, pestilence. He's going to have to cause a lot of things to happen, man. The grids, cyber attacks, grid shutdowns. He's going to have to go hard body to bring about the times that the Bible speak about. Okay, see, Esau, soft power is not getting it anymore. Okay, and he can't, his manipulation, okay, which is nothing but witchcraft, but his manipulation, trying to manipulate people, okay, with this technology. Okay, well, there's a resistance. Now, there are a lot of people that worship this technology. Okay, so dealing with both sides. All right, don't get it twisted. There's a lot of people that do worship this technology, man. Okay, and they're gonna, voluntarily go, all right, and merge themselves with this man's technology, man. And you have those that are rising up against it, which puts pressure on the devil to go ahead and start to roll this thing out more and more. He knows he got a short time. He got to roll this thing out, man. Okay, so when you go here, let's go to Revelation 13. Got quite a few videos tapped into this morning, our brothers are. But let's go here to Revelation 13 and 11. Okay, as this chapter, jumping off the page. Okay, it deals with a little history. Okay, but when you go into it, this is I'm reading KJV, and we'll start at 9. All right, because what we're seeing, everything that the devil is doing, all right, he's just going to find himself in captivity. Okay, everything that this devil is doing, speaking about these elites. Okay, because you're going to have, Joe Sixpack that survive in these other countries. Okay, the judgment, but their judgment is to go into captivity. Okay, so you read Revelation 13 and 9 says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. You see, and you have to have the ear in the spirit. You see, to be able to hear and comprehend these things, you have to be of the predestined elect. All right, chosen to understand, all right, these things in the last days. It was the Lord's grace, his gift of faith, the grace and Holy Spirit, all right, the comforter in these days to be able to hear and understand these things, man. Okay, so you read verse 9 again, says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. Yeah, so this is not, okay, a light thing that we're seeing, that we're reading. Okay, so he that leadeth in captivity. Well, let's identify the that's Esau. Okay, there's Esau. He's the one, okay, that led us into captivity, going to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. All right, you should be led into Egypt again on ships. Well, who led that? It was Esau. Okay, who colonized the earth? These last several centuries, who has it been? It's been Esau. Okay, that has colonized the earth. So even if he didn't transport us, those that didn't get transported, to the Americas for slavery. Okay, well, guess what? He colonized the earth and put you in slavery, man. You see? Okay, Africa is nothing but a big slave colony, man. Esau gets all the resources, okay? Extrapolates the wealth, and he has this cheap labor, okay? Nothing but slavery, man. Same thing in Central and South America, the same thing, okay? So this man has a whole slave system, all right? This whole economy is a slave economy, all right? To where even, the average worker is a slave, but it's just more intensified with the tribes, man, because of the curses. You see? But basically, he that leads in captivity shall go into captivity. So everything that this devil is doing, he's walking himself into captivity, man. And that's why it's beautiful how the Lord got this thing playing out, man. It's a perfect judgment, man. Okay, so he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And we know that ultimate sword is the nukes. Okay, because this war is going to go nuclear, man. All right, and it's going to eradicate a lot of the population. Okay, and the remainder of the population of these heathens are going into captivity. Okay, Esau is going to be preserved. The elites of Esau are going to be preserved, and they're going into captivity, man. So these devils, which they use these wars to manipulate, all right, global order, okay, to bring about change in global order. But this war is going to lead them into captivity, man. Okay, this new world order, this attempt at this new world order is going to land the devil in captivity. You see, so it's beautiful how everything that we see working, is going to work against this devil. It's beginning to work against this devil, man. All right, we're seeing, all right, we're seeing it show itself more and more. Okay, that this devil is in disgrace, man. You see, and that's what's going to put, okay, and just force this thing on the people, man. You see, verse 11 says, "And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon," man. And that's just an American system, man. Okay, the elite set up this system of this false left-right paradigm, these two horns, okay, these two political powers of the Republican and Democrats, okay, that speak, with this soft tone, as if, their whole agenda, okay, is to enhance your life, to make your life better, like a savior. They speak these soft words as if, your best interest is in mind of these two different political parties, man. Okay, these two horns. You see, but they all led you to, this technocracy. Democrats and Republicans, both horns led you to a democracy, man, where it's going to be a technocracy where it's going to be very draconian, man. Okay, a system of complete control the earth has never seen. This is the intent of this technology, man. Okay, not to make you work faster. Okay, not to create a utopia where the AI does the work and you just get this, this stifling, this UBI, high UBI, whatever they want to call it. Okay, you just chilling, getting your UBI, just kicking it in the earth while the AI is doing the work. Okay, no, the AI was created for a draconian society, man. Okay, a technocracy, digital enslavement, man. This is what AI is created to do, is enslave and control the masses, man. Okay, AI is going to govern the grid, is going to control the masses. You see, verse 12, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. Yeah, so what we're seeing with America, NATO, and EU, okay, these Western governments, these Western Edomite governments, okay, this is the Rome revived. All right, that first beast, pagan Rome, you see, has been revived in the earth. And what have the revival of Rome caused? People to worship, okay, pagan Rome. You see, if you love America, man, you're worshiping, all right, a duplicate of pagan Roman Empire, you know, whose deadly wound was healed. You see, you love Western culture, Western society, all right, you love this, man. Guess what? You're worshiping pagan Rome, okay? The Greco-pagan Roman Empire has just been revived in this time, ran by what? The same Edomites, man. Okay, so the Renaissance seen their deadly wound healed, okay, and established himself as what? The top government in the earth, okay, the top power structure in the earth, the top influence in the earth, man. You know, and people admire the beast. Okay, they love American culture. They love, all right, they do as thou wilt. Okay, the women's liberation, the alphabet, the nightlife. Okay, status. You know, the sports, the games. Okay, people worship these things, man. You see, and if you worship the image, well, guess what? To participate, okay, within the image. You see, to participate in this digital Rome, because now Rome is going to go digital. You see, so to participate in the digital Greco-Roman Empire, you're going to have to merge with technology, man. You're going to have to take that charagma. Okay, verse 13 it says, "He doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men." You know, which he was able to drop. You know, this devil. You know, as the Lord allowed this devil, you know, to create aircrafts. And what did the devil do? You know, when he was able to fly, well, he weaponized him, man. You know, so now he's able to drop what? Bombs, okay, from the heavens, man. You see, you know, he's the only nation to use atomic weapons in warfare. Okay, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, those atomic bombs. You know, the airstrikes. You know, he brought the airstrikes to the game. Okay, just like you know, in the you know, the medieval, you know, the ancient, you know, the medieval myths about dragons, and you see, you know, fire breathing dragon. Well, this nigga Air Force is like a fire breathing dragon, man. You see, and this was a great wonder to the nations, man. Those nations in history was able to achieve what this man has been able to achieve militarily, man, with this technology, man. Now the Lord has allowed these other nations to catch up because the Lord is okay. It's finna checkmate this nigga on every turn, you know. So he has allowed these nations to catch up, all right, militarily. You see, but for the longest, man, hey, Esau, he ran out on the world, man. He took off. You see, he says, "And deceiving them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, man." You know, and for the longest, America was at the forefront of technology, man. Okay, and like I say, these other nations have caught up. You know, because America exported all this technology throughout the earth, and these nations have you know, mimicked and re-engineered this technology and have made even some better. You know, but all these are miracles that was allowed. You know, the Lord allowed this devil, you know, to have technology so advanced. It was like a miracle, man. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he wants everyone to conform, all right, to the digital Rome. Okay? He wants every nation in the earth to completely conform. You see? And that's why these nations have modeled their economy. Okay? All these nations, you know, have digital infrastructure, you know, ready to be merged into a global digital system. Okay? Now they're fighting over the details. Okay? Dealing with the resources. All right? Dealing with you know, who's going to control what region. You see? So they're fighting over the details. All right, but the overall bigger picture of a technocracy, they all agree. Okay, and all these nations have made themselves likened unto this beast system, man. You know, they've made themselves compatible, okay, to this beast system, man. You see? And it says some more than others, but all these nations have done it. It says that he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Okay, so going back to the Renaissance, okay, when these devils, started to, the Lord allowed them to begin to make moves, make power moves, okay, to where they became powerful, man. You see, and what did they do? They gave power, they breathed breath back into, okay, pagan Rome. You see, beginning with the elites, all right, because the elites financed this whole system. Okay, this whole beast system that runs the earth, well, the elites finance it, man. You see, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay, so now we're seeing the image of the beast speak. Okay, now we're seeing, this devil's, technology. Okay, we're seeing this devil's culture. We're seeing, this devil's, all right, influence. Okay, become to what? Dominate the earth. You see? So now that the image of the beast is speaking loud and clear, now it's to the point to where, hey, now you got to take the mark of the beast. Okay? And it's going to get to the point to where, hey, if you're not down with it, all right, you're going to be put to death. It's going to start off voluntarily, then he's going to make it inconvenient for you not to have it, then eventually it's going to be mandated. Okay? Eventually it's going to be mandated, man. So where if you don't have it, where you're labeled, all right, a threat to the system. You see? Because at first, like I say, when he makes it inconvenient, because that word kill also goes into being separated. Okay? Because not taking it, you're going to be outcast. Okay? If you don't take it, just like when you didn't have the juice, like you was outcast, you couldn't do, certain things. I know the job I was in during the pandemic, all right, they said I couldn't travel for work, without the juice. Okay, they said it was mandatory. Okay, that I had to have the juice, man. You see, certain places you couldn't go, certain jobs, it was a glimpse of being an outcast for not, okay, bending the knee to the juice. Okay, but it's gonna be on a much larger scale. Okay, with this sea hip. Okay. It says, and then no man may buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name. Matter of fact, I think I'll jump 16. It says, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the number of the beast or the number of his name. So when you get into the image of the beast, well, like I say, in order to continue on and participate, okay, well, you're gonna have to merge with the technology, man. Ain't no getting around it. And this is what all roads lead to. And here it is. You had the beloved brother Elder Monatazak, asked these guys from ICJCS. I'm saying, got a lot of letters, but yeah, he asked these guys about the MOTB, man, and they pretty much just deflected, man. Here it is, we in the clutch. And Jake don't have an answer for the MOTB, and it's here. It's at the door. It's in the driveway. And it's finna get out the car and knock on the door. It's in the driveway, man. You see? But nah, man, it's only for those who the Lord has operated in, true wisdom. That's why I say Revelation 13:18 said, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603, which is 666. Which we know this number is saturated all throughout this man's system. So you go into the logos, then you also go into their barcode. Okay, those 18 numbers. Okay, which ultimately go into the 666. You see? Was just a pattern that he wants to put, okay, on everyone. You see, he wants to put his brand. The chip is him putting his brand in you instead of on you. He's putting the brand in you. Okay, it says with Revelation 13:18 says wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. All right, his number is 666, man. Okay, so let's go from there. All right, let's go from there. Let's get because all we're seeing now is a resistance. All right, these people are starting to rage against the devil's technology. So let's play this.
Put a finger down if you have recently had an all hands meeting where they announced that we are an AI first company.
I'm anti-AI because I know that for the environment.
Why is AI being absolutely forced down our throats?
I don't want to see an egg turn into a fucking bird.
I'm so sick of AI. Like, I'm so sick of AI. AI this, AI that, AI, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever the fuck.
Companies are threatening to fire employees who won't use AI, while admitting AI isn't actually working.
I swear to God, I'm going to lose my mind if one more person at work sends me an email and they say, leverage AI to complete this task. As though I didn't need 7 years of an industry experience to even apply for the job. What was the point if all you're going to do is ask me to put it in AI? Can't I use my brain? Am I not more valuable than ChatGPT? And I don't really give a what Copilot thinks.
The people resisting AI aren't Luddites or boomers. These are people who have spent years perfecting their craft and genuinely enjoyed their work. Now we're all being told to leverage AI. And the result is a growing backlash as corporations push AI into every crevice of our lives.
Can I talk to a real person?
You bet. You're talking to a real live booking agent right now, Southern Charm and all. I can help you with reservations, special rates. Sound fair? What can I help you with today?
A real person at the Philadelphia location.
I hear you. Sometimes you just want that local touch. But if you really need to speak with someone at the front desk in Philadelphia, I can text you their direct number or read it out loud.
I called the number that was texted to me by the last robot, and I'm talking to you again.
Oh, bless your heart. I can see how that'd be a little frustrating.
It describes itself as having Southern charm, then lies and insists it's a real person as if we can't hear the truth. Not only is this replacing jobs, it's frustrating to deal with. The comments on this one are interesting. We all died in 2020 and this is hell. So the AI agent connected you to another AI agent. Insane. The creator responded, I was in the AI loop from hell.
Raise your hand if you're sick and tired of all of these companies and platforms and websites forcing their stupid AI down our throats. Why did I open the Amazon app the other day and get confronted with a new button that's like, hi, I'm Rufus, the new Amazon AI assistant. Be aware that because I'm still in beta, I may get some stuff wrong. Then why are you here? If you don't even fucking work, if you have to put a disclaimer up that this feature doesn't even work yet, get rid of it.
This AI FOMO has companies slapping AI into everything, as if we already didn't have chatbots. Why does an article have an AI summary for the article? Just read the article. Everyone agrees in the comments. Me reporting every AI TikTok ad as unpleasant. I hate that Pinterest is all AI now. I recently went on Pinterest looking for interior design inspiration, and it's just a bunch of AI photos. It's basically a digital photo album for ChatGPT generated images. There's no more creativity. It's just machine generated AI slop.
I don't know why brands don't understand that we don't want AI. Like, brands are finding it really difficult to comprehend that we, the audience, the people who are watching your content, the people who are consuming your shit, do not want it to be AI generated. We are pushing back against AI.
The people have spoken. No more AI generated slop. But these brands aren't listening. They don't care. A comment left on this video sent me down a rabbit hole. Prada fragrance using AI had me laughing. I went searching for this clip on Prada's TikTok, but it doesn't exist. That's because they received so much backlash, they deleted it, but not before the internet roasted them. This is the clip. And as you can see, it's some weird AI-generated animatronics. I don't know who greenlit this. Keep in mind, this coming from a luxury brand whose jackets start at $3,500. But it's not just in our free time that we're being forced to interact with AI. We're also being forced at work to keep our jobs.
Looking for work right now is so ridiculously difficult because what do you mean? Like 80% of the jobs I've looked at in the last 3 days have some type of AI component. Leave me alone. Let me do the work. Let me do it. I don't want the robot doing it.
The use of AI is eliminating our own skill set. And I know someone is going to comment on this video saying AI makes me so much more efficient. Okay, more efficient for who exactly? Your employer? Are they paying you more? We've adopted the same talking points as these AI CEOs, but with none of the upside. We're actually stealing from ourselves, and the research shows this. Researchers found that after about 10 minutes of AI interaction, performance improves in the short term, but people perform significantly worse without AI afterward. They're more likely to give up. The researchers argue that persistence is foundational to acquiring new skills and is one of the strongest indicators of long-term learning. Sustained use, they warn, risks eroding our own human capabilities. This is why it's so frustrating that companies are now forcing us to use AI despite what the research shows. This comment reads, "It is so dystopian how the tech company that I love working for, by the way, just one day was like, we will be tracking and enforcing your AI usage." Enforcing AI usage is becoming a huge problem. Of the enterprise companies surveyed, 60% plan to lay off employees who can't or won't use AI. They're enforcing AI usage and they're adding it to employee performance reviews. So you get situations like this. Uber set a $3.4 billion AI budget for their research and development team for all of 2026. They blew through that budget in just 4 months. So which engineers are using these tools because they find them genuinely helpful, and which engineers are gaming the system because they don't want to get fired? Anytime an employer forces anything, you get malicious compliance. And the question nobody is asking is, what's the actual value of any of this?
This is what happens when you give very business people unrestricted access.
So yeah, you see the working class, okay, is bucking up against the AI, sometimes because AI is useful, it has its uses, but then a lot of times the AI can get in the way, because Esau presents this AI, which is a lying wonder, as if this fix all for everything. Okay, as if AI, all right, is a God. Okay, and that's what he presents. AI is a God that he's selling to the people. Okay, and what's happening? People are starting to see the flaws. Okay, and AI limited, and it don't matter what type of AI that he has that we haven't seen is limited. Okay, it can only do so much. Okay, but the AI is going to be used for a control system. Okay, because he plans on depopulation anyway. And a lot of these jobs that they're saying, is being replaced by AI is being replaced by cheap labor overseas. Okay. But you're seeing what the working class, they're beginning to buck up. They're not using it. They're not training it. They are using it. They're manipulating it, because if it's a guy, how can it be manipulated by people? Okay. They talk about how people are training the AI, wrong, and the AI, is becoming very inefficient because the people are sabotaging it. They're supposed to train it. So how can it be a God if you can sabotage it? Okay, and it depends on human training. Okay, so yeah, this devil is being found out to be a fraud, man. At the end of the day, Esau is being found out to be a fraud, and his AI is hype. So this plays a part into why this devil, all right, is going to have to rush. He's going to have to really come with it, because he can't. The more he goes on at this rate and not cause nothing major to happen, the more people are going to look at this nigga as a fraud, man. Okay, let's go here. Let's get this one, man. This one here was really, looking at this, I'm like, oh boy. Okay. So let's go here. So that was a working class, and now, on the college level, there's a lot of kickback in AI on the college level, man. Okay. So this whole AI hype, is starting, to come undone. You see, there was a time when AI was just, like, wow, we got to catch up. But now it's like, everybody, it's a lot of people that's good on the AI, man. Talking to chat bots, when you need to call, you want to talk to a human about certain things, you got to talk to a chat bot. That's been played out. Okay. And then incorporating AI, trying to make AI efficient on the job, that's getting played out. Okay. Because it's good at certain things, but certain things it's not good at, and they trying to force it. And they're trying to make it be something great, man. He's trying to make it live up to all this hype, man. Okay. But let's play this, man. And it's getting more tacky by the month. So this nigga gonna have to do something, man. Okay. And just go ahead and force this thing.
On May 15th, 2026, Glendale Community College in Arizona held its commencement ceremony. Students walked across the stage in caps and gowns, their families sat in the audience with cameras ready, and when each graduate's name was supposed to be read aloud, the moment that ties the whole ritual together, the one thing that makes the ceremony personal, something went wrong. The names being read didn't match the people walking. Some names weren't read at all. The screen froze. The ceremony was paused. Graduate Grace Raymer crossed the stage, sat back down, and only then realized her name had never actually been called. Her family, a self-described loud family, hadn't cheered because they never heard the cue. Eventually, the college president, Tiffany Hernandez, took the microphone and explained, "Let's have a look."
So here's what's happening. We're using a new AI system as our reader. Yep. Yep.
Who will you honor this Memorial Day? Find out with a search on Ancestry. Explore military records, photos, and more to piece together your family story.
So that is a lesson learned for us.
And so a human announcer was brought in to finish the job.
Alrighty, everybody. I have the part of the ceremony that doesn't require AI, so as soon as we figure this out, we're going to be working next.
There is a certain institutional confidence required to tell a graduate they don't get to walk at their own graduation because your robot malfunctioned. That confidence did not survive contact with the audience. Afterwards, the college sent an apology letter to students. Grace Raymer ran that letter through an AI detector. It flagged as AI written. So to take stock of the situation, a college replaced the person who says your name with the machine that couldn't say your name, and then apologized with a machine that couldn't write an apology. I'm Elle. I have a PhD in computer science.
How tacky is this nigga getting, man? Okay, the AI is hyped up, and to try to make, to keep, the hype. All right, these schools and these jobs are being forced, to incorporate this AI, man. So AI, was supposed to call out the names of the graduation, couldn't get it right. Okay. Then they had to bring in the human to finish it. And then, you had to, they wrote a letter, an apology letter using the AI. Okay. So these colleges and these jobs, okay, they're being forced, to try to incorporate this AI, man. Okay, and it's getting sloppy, it's getting tacky, man. So this devil, he's gonna have to come with it. Okay, he's gonna have to come with it, man. He's gonna have to come, all right, with some severe, okay, crisis, man. Okay, to get compliance. Now you're gonna have simpletons, okay, that's still out there that believe the AI hype and believe, they just worship the beast, they're just in awe at the beast. You see, but you're getting a lot of kickback, man. you know, and at this rate, okay, it's going to breed more kickback, you know. So this devil, you know, he's in the situation, and the Lord got him in the situation, okay. So he's just gonna have to come with it, because soft power and, you know, manipulation is wearing off, man. He gonna have to get violent. He gonna have to be the madman sparing none. You know, he gonna have to attempt to pull this off in blood. Okay, so let's go play a little bit more of this.
And I analyze AI developments to understand what's actually happening beneath the hype. And right now, what's happening beneath the hype is that graduation season 2026 has accidentally become the most honest public conversation about artificial intelligence that anyone has had all year, not because of what's being said at podiums, but because of what the audience is saying back. The Glendale incident was not an isolated, it was the most visceral example of a pattern that has defined this commencement season across the US. On May 8th, Gloria Caulfield, Vice President of Strategic Alliances at the Orlando-based company Tavistock, stood before the graduating class of the University of Central Florida's College of Arts and Humanities and told them this.
The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution. Oh. Whoa. What happened? Okay, I struck a chord. May I finish?
The next day, May 9th, Scott Barchetta, CEO of Big Machine Records, addressed graduates at Middle Tennessee State University's College of Media and Entertainment. Let's have a look at him.
AI is rewriting production as we sit here. I know it. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool.
Look how proud the devil is. All right, nigga getting booed. Okay, and this becoming normal, man. These people coming to these colleges talking about AI and getting their booed, man. Okay. Now, man, it's just more and more kickback. Okay. A lot of people are not buying what the devil is selling, man. And that's why he just gonna have to come on with it. You see? He just gonna have to come on with it, man. Okay? Because trying to just, trying to integrate this and sell it is this wonderful thing. Where man, the Lord got this devil to where he gonna have to, as the scriptures say, be like, and you can look at this devil. You know, he ready. And this one of them, he's one of these higher ups. All right, these different tech guys coming to these colleges to speak, man. Okay, then they're not getting their warm reception, man. You see, but you can look like that nigga can't wait to unleash, okay, to unleash hell on you people, man. That's against this system. Okay, you can tell, you look at this nigga face, man, he's frustrated. You can tell he has this bloodthirst, like that nigga, what's his, Alex Carp. Okay, he one of them type of niggas, man. You see? So this nigga getting real proud. Let me get the precept with that nigga face. All right, that nigga face matched his precept, man. This is servants for Yahushua, 2nd Ezra 16:71. It said, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Yeah, Esau finna get draconian. See, they're trying to still speak like a lamb. You know, just soft and see, but then you can tell, you know, he said, hey, you're gonna have to deal with it. You know, damn your boobs, nigga, you gonna have to deal with it. All right, you're gonna listen to this, a little bit of this proud devil. Okay, but he's gonna be like a madman sparing none. You know, he's gonna get the Lord gonna push him to the point, and it's the Lord that's frustrating this nigga. Man. Matter of fact, we always get it. Let's get that in Isaiah 44 and 25. You know, it's one of my favorite precepts now, man. You know, because we see the Lord doing it to the devil real time. I'm gonna go back just a little bit. Look at this devil, man.
I know it. Deal with it. Like I said, AI is rewriting production as we sit here. I know it. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool. Hey, like I said, you can hear me now or you can pay me later.
You can hear me now, pay me later. You see? So hey, these devils, you listen, to these devils, these fork-tongued devils, man. All right. And as we, have been watching these devils, the scripture say we're not ignorant to the devices. We know what he's saying, man. They finna come with their hammer. You don't think that they, taking all this in, they getting booed and like, so how you think they come into these councils now? Like, hey, look, man, let's stop playing with these people. Okay? And start shutting shit down and just rolling this thing out. If they not with it, hey, we putting them to death. You see? It's the Lord causing this frustration for these devils, man. So let's play a little more.
Well, deal with it is a bold rhetorical choice for a man who is actively the reason they have to deal with it in the first place. On May 15th, the same day as Glendale, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt was booed repeatedly at the University of Arizona. Let's have a look at him too.
So today we stand on this edge.
Creators, take these 3 apps I built to run my business made with Base 44. They're ready for you.
Of another technological transformation, one that will be larger, faster, and more consequential than what came before. It will touch every profession, every classroom, every hospital, every laboratory, every person, and every relationship you have. I know what many of you are feeling about that. I can hear you. There is a fear. There is a fear.
They're frustrated. They fake smile. All right, well, you watched a little bit of this the other day. All right, these niggas frustrated. They throw their fake smile out there. Okay, they finna come with this hammer. You see?
In your generation, that the future has already been written.
At Columbia University, students and faculty organized protests against the university's plan to use AI-generated voices to read graduates' names during 2026 ceremonies for the 2nd year running. I did a full analysis of the Coalfield incident, whether AI actually is the next industrial revolution and what that comparison reveals, which I will link at the end of this video. But the pattern itself is what I want to focus on here because something far more interesting happened on the other side of this ledger. On May 11th, Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak took the stage at Grand Valley State University in Michigan. He mentioned AI and the crowd didn't boo, they cheered, they applauded, they laughed.
You all have AI. You all have AI, actual intelligence. My entire life in the technical world, I've been following people that were trying to figure out how to make a brain, software, hardware, synapse chips. And I was at a company where the engineers figured out how to make a brain. It takes 9 months.
Yeah, so he's all right, one of the ones that's pro people. He's one of these guys that's working in tech. He's not a higher up, okay? But he's within their field. But he said, yeah, y'all have AI, which is actual intelligence. Okay, which the Lord created everything with his own intelligence, and the fact that it's called artificial intelligence, man, which means fake intelligence. Okay, it's called artificial intelligence, man. So what are we talking about with this thing? The Lord had this devil to name it artificial intelligence, man. Okay, and we making it, and he's trying to hype it up like if it's actual intelligence. It's not. Okay, this is a magic trick. It's a fraud. Like I said, he can do things. Yes, it can be a useful tool in certain tasks. But is it a God? Is it all knowing? Is it smarter than people? No. Okay? It's a fraud, man. It's an algorithm. Okay? It's a manipulation of numbers and systems and algorithms, man. Okay? This devil, can he use it to put enchantments on people? Absolutely. Okay, but is it a standalone conscience? No. Okay, and he said they came up with a way to make a human brain. He said it take 9 months. He talking about the pregnancy, the pregnancy duration of a woman, man. Okay, you can't, no matter how far this devil tries to go with his technology, he can't escape. Okay, what is? He can't go beyond what is. Okay, and the Lord is showing this man that he's limited, man. All right, now let's I think I got one more video. Maybe two. No, I'm gonna go with another one as well. Let's get this Isaiah 44:25, and also let's get this too in the book of Sirach. Let's see. Might be 42. See, when you go to the book of Sirach 42, I'll get a brother to post it. Yeah, let's get Sirach 42 and 21. Bob and Shaw. Yeah, Sirach 42 and 21. All right, let's read this. This is the brother Mark Ball, Isaiah 44 and 25. It says they frustrated the tokens of lives. All right, Esau's a liar. Okay, I said the Lord has given this man great power on the left hand side. Okay, and even in the great power he was given, he lies and exaggerates it, man. He's a liar. You have to remember, it's a lying wonder. Okay, so he's exaggerating with particular things. This whole Neuralink thing, like Neuralink is just going to be able to, erase thoughts and create thoughts and, make you learn a language in 2 seconds. You can just download Spanish. You don't know Spanish, but you can just download it in Neuralink, and now you know Spanish. And this nigga is lying. Okay, he can do some things, but he can't do all that what he's talking about, man. Okay, and he didn't create anything to make no one smart. That's another thing. He went into the Neuralink the other day, and he talking about, it's gonna make people much smarter, give them more memory. Here it is. This nigga pushes everything to confuse you, to dumb you down, to have you in the blind, but he's just gonna all of a sudden enhance you to make you all knowing. Okay, he's just gonna give you technology to make you all knowing when his whole system is based off of deception. Okay, his whole system is based off deception, but he's going to give you technology to where you can download different languages. You can download this, you can download that. You can learn how to fight. You can learn war. You can learn, But his whole system is based off keeping you confused, dumbed down, okay, and in the dark. Okay, but all of a sudden he's going to give you this device that make you superhuman, man. Okay, a lot of this shit is science fiction, man. He got certain things that he could do and certain things we haven't seen. Well, in and all, he's a liar. Okay, he's a liar, which means he exaggerates, man. Okay, and it says, and maketh diviners mad, they turneth wise men backwards. See, he's going backwards. You see, things are starting to work against this devil, man. Okay, His technology, hey, he's peaking out with what he can do. His capabilities are beginning to peak out, man. Okay? It says, and making their knowledge foolish. Yeah, so the knowledge that the Lord, gave this man, all right, to run the earth in wickedness and deception. Well, now that knowledge is working against him. Okay? And he's looking very foolish, man. You see? And the longer that he goes at this rate, the more foolish and the more backlash he's going to get. The more foolish he's going to seem, and more backlash he's going to get. Okay, because this AI thing, man, they forcing it, man. Okay, they forcing it. It's only so much the AI can do, man. Okay, it's starting to look like a dumb idol now. Okay, as the hype is dying down and people are really having to try to use it, is looking like a dumb idol now. Okay, so this man gonna have to really move with his agenda. So, let's play this.
Now, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The Empire of AI. That's the name of a new book by journalist Karen Howe, who's been closely reporting on the rise of the artificial intelligence industry with a focus on Sam Altman's OpenAI. That's the company behind ChatGPT. Karen Howe compares the actions of the AI industry to those of colonial powers of the past. She writes, quote, "The empires of AI are not engaged in the same overt violence and brutality that marked this history, but they too seize and extract precious resources to feed their vision of artificial intelligence. The work of artists and writers, the data of countless individuals posting about their experiences and observations online, the land, energy, and water required to house and run massive data centers and supercomputers," she writes. Over the past year, the Trump administration has increasingly embraced the AI industry. In December, Trump signed an executive order to bar states and local governments from enacting their own AI regulations. Soon after he signed the order, his family's company, Trump Media and Technology, announced a $6 billion merger with a firm aiming to build the world's first viable nuclear fusion plant to power AI projects. Karen Howe is a former reporter at the Wall Street Journal and MIT Technology Review, where she became the first journalist to profile OpenAI. Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez and I spoke to her in May. The National Book Critics Circle recently named her book, The Empire of AI, Dreams and Nightmares in Sam Altman's OpenAI, as a finalist for Best Nonfiction Book of 2025. I began by asking Karen Howe to explain just what artificial intelligence is.
So AI is a collection of many different technologies, but most people were introduced to it through ChatGPT. And what I argue in the book and what the title refers to, Empire of AI, it's actually a critique of the specific trajectory of AI development that led us to ChatGPT and has continued since ChatGPT. And that is specifically Silicon Valley's scale at all costs approach to AI development. AI models in modern day, they are trained on data. They need computers to train them on that data. But what Silicon Valley did and what OpenAI did in the last few years is they started blowing up the amount of data and the size of the computers that need to do this training. So we are talking about the full English language internet being fed into these models, books, scientific articles, all of the intellectual property that is being created, and also massive supercomputers that run tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of computer chips that are the size of dozens, maybe hundreds of football fields, and use practically the entire energy demands of cities now. So this is an extraordinary type of AI development that is causing a lot of social, labor, and environmental harms. And that is ultimately why I evoke this analogy to empire.
And Karen, could you talk some more about not only the energy requirements, but the water requirements of these huge data centers that are in essence, the backbone of this widening industry?
Absolutely. I'll give you two stats on both the energy and the water. When talking about the energy demand, McKinsey recently came out with a report that said in the next 5 years, based on the current pace of AI computational infrastructure expansion, we would need to put as much energy on the global grid as what is consumed by 2 to 6 times the energy consumed annually by the state of California. And that will mostly be serviced by fossil fuels. We're already seeing reporting of coal plants with their lives supposed to retire, but now they cannot to support the data center. We're seeing gas turbines, unlicensed ones, popped up to service these data centers as well. From a fresh water perspective, these data centers need to be trained on fresh water. They cannot be trained on any other type of water because it can corrode the equipment, it can lead to bacterial growth, and most of the time, it actually taps directly into a public drinking water supply, because that is the infrastructure that has been laid to deliver this clean, fresh water to different businesses, to different homes. Bloomberg recently had an analysis where they looked at the expansion of these data centers around the world, and 2/3 of them are being placed in water scarce areas. So they're being placed in communities that do not have access to fresh water. So it's not just the total amount of fresh water that we need to be concerned about, but actually the distribution of this infrastructure around the world.
And most people are familiar with Chat GPT, the consumer aspect of AI. But what about the military aspect of AI, where in essence, we're finding Silicon Valley companies becoming the next generation of defense contractors?
One of the reasons why OpenAI and many other companies are turning to the defense industry is because they have spent an extraordinary amount of money in developing these technologies. They're spending hundreds of billions to train these models, and they need to recoup those costs. And there are only so many industries and so many places that have that size of a paycheck to pay. And so that's why we're seeing a cozying up to the defense industry. We're also seeing Silicon Valley use the US government in their empire building ambitions. You could argue that the US government is also trying to use Silicon Valley, vice versa, in their empire building ambitions. But certainly these technologies are not designed to be used in a sensitive military context. And so the aggressive push of these companies to try and get those defense contracts and integrate their technologies more and more into the infrastructure of the military is really alarming.
And the AI with the military, that's going to be the enforcement of the New World Order. Okay? So AI merging with military, okay, is not the private corporations merging with the public sector, the government. No, it's the elites, okay, system, which is going to enforce, all right, New World Order. Okay. So what we're seeing, with AI, merging with the military, which they've been did that, the military has been using AI way before everyone else. Okay. So what we're seeing with this AI and this military merger, well, this is going to be the enforcement branch of the New World Order. Okay. And that's why they need everyone to have this technology in them, okay, which makes them easily trackable, okay. It creates a digital footprint, 24/7 digital footprint. All right, so AI learns your tendencies, okay, which is a system of complete control. So in their mind, they'll never have to worry about a rebellion or a revolt again. Okay, they'll be able to do exactly what they want out in the open. Okay, experiment on people. All right, be as nasty as they want to be, freaky as they want to be. Okay, and they won't have to worry about a rebellion because they have so much control. Okay, and they'll have a way to enforce, okay, any thought of rebellion. You see? So this is what this man is trying to bring to the earth, man. You know, he's trying to present it in this, you know, this domestic way of, you know, AI is going to make, you know, increase production in the workforce, you know, make it easy on workers. And no, it's a control grid. Okay? It's a souped up control grid. Okay? For the elites to dominate the earth, you know, and be able to imitate the Most High. You know, in their mind, they're going to be able to imitate, they're going to have the control that the Most High has, man. Okay? Let's play a little more of this.
I wanted to go to the countries you went to or the stories you covered. It's amazing the depth of your reporting, from Kenya to Uruguay to Chile. You were talking about the use of water, and I also want to ask you about nuclear power.
Yeah.
But in Chile, what is happening there around these data centers and the water they would use and the resistance to that?
Yeah, so Chile has an interesting history in that it was under a dictatorship for a very long time. And so during that time, most public resources were privatized, including water. But because of an anomaly, there's one community in the greater Santiago metropolitan region that actually still has access to a public freshwater resource that services both that community as well as the rest of the country in emergency situations. That is the exact community that Google chose to try to put a data center in.
And it would be free.
And I have no idea. That is a great question. But what the community told me was they weren't even paying taxes for this because they believed, based on reading the documentation, that the taxes that Google was paying was in fact to where they had registered their offices, their administrative offices, not where they were putting down the data center. So they were not seeing any benefit from this data center directly to that community. And they were seeing no checks placed on the fresh water that this data center would have been allowed to extract. And so these activists said, wait a minute, absolutely not. We're not going to allow this data center to come in unless they give us a legitimate reason for why it benefits us. And so they started doing boots on the ground activism, pushing back, knocking on every single one of their neighbors' doors, handing out flyers to the community, telling them, this company is taking our freshwater resources without giving us anything in return. And so they escalated so dramatically that it escalated to Google Chile, it escalated to Google Mountain View, which, by the way, then sent representatives to Chile that only spoke English. But then it eventually escalated to the Chilean government. And the Chilean government now has roundtables where they ask these community residents and the company representatives and representatives from the government to come together to actually discuss how to make data center development more beneficial to the community.
It's not going to be beneficial, you know. And I had to watch the rest of this. I just played a little bit of it, but I watched the rest of it, see if there's anything else worth getting into. But I know she's pretty good, you know, with her activism, you know, her criticism, her scrutiny against AI. You know, she goes in depth. You know, she's pretty much hands-on, you know, with a lot of this research. So let's get this precept, you know, and ain't no benefits to these data centers, man. Okay, and you can see that the devil was using these data centers also as a tool to depopulate, you know, to destroy, you know, water sources in these different regions. That's why they're strategically putting them in these places that's already, you know, in water, all right, you know, water insufficient, man. Okay, so he's just strategically doing these because remember he has a depopulation as well, agenda as well. Okay, so these data centers are not only being used to, you know, track and trace, you know, store the data, all right, which is going to control this, the digital system, okay, the DPI, the digital public infrastructure, but also as a tool to sabotage the environment, okay, to kill off, you know, masses, man, you know. So let's get this, you know what I'm saying, we'll get one more. Because basically this devil, you know, this whole new order, this the brother servants of Yahushua, this Sirach, all right, 42 and 21, it says, he have garnished the excellent works of his wisdom, and he is from everlasting to everlasting. You see that? And this is what Esau was trying to make himself equal to, an entity that's from everlasting. That means you can't find the beginning to the Most High. Hey, come on, man. And this is what this nigga, this goddamn dweeb, okay, goddamn Google CEO, you know, Sam Altman, you know, Alex Karp, and, you know, even the leaks we don't see, them niggas dweebs too, okay? This is what they're trying to make themselves equal to, man. Okay, he is from everlasting to everlasting, and unto him may nothing be added, neither can he be diminished, and he have no need, okay, and he have no need of any counselor, man. Okay, so Esau is trying to add and diminish, okay, from what is. Okay, he's really trying to reinvent existence, man, in his image. Okay, in a way that he can control it. That's why he has to depopulate. That's why he has to, destroy people's, cognitive, abilities. He has to make people dumber because he's inferior. So he has to weaken people in the earth to a point to where he can control it, man, with this grid. You see? But this devil with this system, what he's saying is that the Most High needs a counselor, and he's going to add and diminish as he see fits. Okay? This is what he's trying to roll out, man. All right? So, we'll leave it there. Lord will you, brothers. All right, and you few sisters was edified. Once again, I'm going to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful and shalom.